What is going on, everybody? We're here, back with a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time on, we had a bunch of goofiness over at Angel Mort, in which we saw our club mates get their punishment due to the water gun fight. And it was a whole bunch of goofiness, fun. Ire showed up in his doctor's uniform because of, he had to be there because of maids and stuff. And at the very end there, we switched perspectives over to Rena, and we met a mysterious woman called Rena, and Rena, jeez, oh, so many R names, God, it's gonna kill me. Who has a relationship with Rena. So, yeah, also some things you guys told me about. First of all, someone pointed out in how, in the last episode, how Rena talked about how she meets with Ketchy's mother at the grocery store, and, they, do stuff, and that's how Rena knows, like, when Ketchy's dinner is. It actually answers a question all the way back in Chapter 1, specifically in Part 11, in which it answers the question of how does Rena know when Ketchy's dinner is due, is because, and how she knows that Ketchy's parents are out of town. It's because, well, Ketchy's mother didn't show up at the grocery store, which is something I would have never noticed. It's such a little tiny detail that I would have never noticed on my own, to be perfectly honest. There are so many details to this game. This game is dense. Like, it is the definition of dense in, like, it's a spider web of connections here and there. There's details, coming from Chapter 5 that tie back in with Chapter 2 and all of this. It's a giant web of connections, of, like, conversations, like, seemingly normal conversations that answer questions all the way back in Chapter 1, which is absolutely just mind-blowing to me. It shows the level of detail and care that's put into this story. It's absolutely just fascinating to me. Also, someone else told me that we had seen the woman before, not in sprite form. Rena. Okay, Rena. I'm gonna mix those two names up a lot in the future, so don't get mad at me. We have met her before, but I have no idea where, and I don't even know where to begin looking. So, yeah, I think that's enough prelude. Let's just get right into it. Business card. Rena. Height, 168 centimeters. P89. Voice, 60. H, 87. Hobbies. I'm interested in indoor gardening. I want to make tea with the herbs I grow. I always enjoy your funny and interesting stories. We should go out somewhere next time in private. Gentlemen's Club Blue Mermaid. Private Manager Rena Maema. Gentlemen's Club. Interesting. So she's the general manager of a gentleman's club? Okay. That's interesting. Let's get right into it.
少なくとも3日くらいの間は甘いものを見たくないぜ。
ケイチ君頑張りすぎだったもんね。
Rena ate a massive amount of desserts too, but her stomach seemed to be just fine.
女の子には胃袋が4つくらいあるんじゃないか。デザート用に確実に1つは余計にあるに違いない。
まあ、レディーになんたる暴言ですの。そんなこと言うケイチさんにはこうでございますことよ。
Bam. Ow. Sadako had poked me very hard in my bloated stomach.
やめて。お腹は押さないで。中身がはみ
Sadako and Wika-chan grinned mischievously upon hearing that. A chill ran up my spine. Why were they smiling like that and walking towards me so gleefully?
やめろお前ら血とか涙とかはねえのかよ
千載一遇のチャンスを見逃す私と思いましてみーケイチの膨らんだポンポンが大変なのですよケイチくんのポヨンポヨンのポンポンかいいよ
やめろお前ら
When joined Sadako and Wika-chan in torturing me, we were still making a lot of noise outside the restaurant. Desperately blocked my stomach from their attacks, but someone else hit me from behind.
誰だ
ハロロンケイちゃんとその愉快な仲間の皆さんこんにちはですお、しーちゃんだこんにちはあれれ今日はお店にいなかったよね私今日は夜のシフトなんですさっき来て着替えたばかりですよ
それはそうとお前よくその格好で店の外に出られるな
大したことないですよあられもない姿で村中を練り歩いた誰かさんよりは恥ずかしくないです
Damn it, I was just getting over it. She had to remind me that I'll never be able to get married.
それはそうと今日は皆さんだいぶ大暴れしたらしいですねまあねいつもの部活になっちゃった以上ね店内とんでもないことになってましたからねお姉も責任を感じたようでみんなに混じって掃除をやってますやっぱり私たちも掃除に加わった方が良かったんじゃありませんのああそれはお気遣い無用ですさすがにお客様に掃除はさせられませんからそもそも一番散らかしたのはミー本人だと思いますです
Yeah, that's right. Everybody nodded in agreement.
それでお姉から伝言です皆さんは先に帰っててくれていいそうですいいよ待ってるよねえみんな
Rena asked for agreement. Of course, we decided to wait with hesitation. Sadako, Wika-chan, and I all nodded along.
手伝えないならせめて終わるのを待ってるよ帰っていいからって言って先に帰るとあいつ寂しがると思うからな
ほうケイちゃんも日進月歩少しは成長するんですねまあねレナたちがちゃんと教育してるからねねえですわよニパ
なんだよこういう時だけ女どもは結束しやがって
I hate girls. They get along so easily just because they're girls. In the end, we ended up making a lot more noise, even dragging Shion into the mess this time.
シオンあんたいつまでサボってんの雑巾どこやったのありゃいけねじゃあ私はもう戻りますねみーちゃんお掃除まだまだかかりそうえ何みんなおじさんを待っててくれてるわけ余計な気使わなくていいってまったくもう
Mion looked happy to see us waiting for her, but she always says the opposite of what she thinks. Wonder when she'll grow up to be able to just honestly say thank you.
バカ仲間だろ終わるまで待っててやれよ
レナたちも一緒にお手伝いできればいいのにねごめんねだからいいって今日ね シオンの仕事終わるの待ってから久しぶりに沖宮の家に帰ることにしたの。だから本当に大丈夫。気持ちだけでも感謝するよ。あら、本当にいいんですの？なんだか悪いですわね。なんか悪い気がするかな。人は大勢いるから大丈夫だよ。風が冷たくなる前にみんなひなみ沢に戻りな。わかりましたのです。みー、お掃除、ファイト、おーです。お、ありがとね。じゃあケイちゃん、お嬢様方のエスコートをよろしく。途中で死角に襲われないようにしっかり護衛するんだよ。
Looking around, I didn't see any ladies who needed an escort. Felt more like I was the one who needed protection. Anyway, we said our goodbyes and making it easier for us to end the day and go home.
じゃあね、みーちゃん。また明日ね。おう。また明日ね。
よっしゃ、行こうか。
We waved at Mia until she went back inside the restaurant. After that, we all got on our bicycles and left Okayama. Oh, that's a nice slow transition. On the way home, we talked about how exciting that had been today. It looked like everyone was still fired up. Have I talked about how great the soundtrack is? Like, honestly, the soundtrack is fantastic. There hasn't been, like, a song that has not missed. Like, I love, like, all the music to this game. Like, it's so great. We had the horrifying punishment in the competitive eating contest, which turned into an unprecedented battle involving all the customers in the restaurant. After that, everything got crazy and messy. At first, the waitresses didn't know what to do, but after a while, they ended up joining in. We had a blast.
でしたのよね。その時の富田さんと岡村さんたらもうおかしくてたまりませんでしたわ。結局亀田も入江もかわいそうだったのです。
いやいや、しかし俺の演説もなかなかだったろ。あの時は店全体が俺の味方だったよな。
圭一は生まれる時代と国が違ったらひょっとするととんでもない人になってたかもなのです。こんな口先男がですの？どこの国に生まれてもろくな人間にはならないと思いますでございますわね。あと100年も早く生まれていたらお札になっていたかもですよ。圭一さんのお札なんてなんだか貧しいですわね。きっと200円札とか300円札とかそのぐらいの数でしたよ。
Sadako and Wika-chan kept up the continuous chatter. I was a bit tired after the day's events, so I just listened quietly. I noticed the wind was getting colder. The shadows were getting longer as well. Sadako and Wika-chan still had a lot of energy left, but what about Rena? She had been very quiet. Maybe she also had a stomachache from eating too much. I looked at Rena to see. However, I was wrong. Rena was... I don't really know how to describe it. She looked very satisfied. She looked like she really did have that much fun. She looked like she was as happy as she could ever be. I could tell all of that without saying a word. When I looked at her, it made me realize that the word fun wasn't enough to describe what we did today.
今日一日本当に楽しかったな。
圭一君は？
俺も最高に楽しかったよ。今日みたいなことが明日や明後日もあればいいのになってくらいにさ。
それはレナも同じかな。今日のお店の中での時間だけが永遠だったらいいなって思った。
おお、詩的なことを言うな。
圭一君は思わなかった？
Rena didn't notice that I made fun of her. I might have been a little tactless. So in a way, I regretted having said it.
いや、俺も同感だよ。
でもね、圭一君。 別に今日だけが最高に幸せってわけじゃないんだよ。
Cool wind blew through her hair. She smiled at me. For some reason, she looked very mature. Her appearance made my heart skip a beat.
私たちのひなみ沢での日々はどの一日だってかけがえのない大切で素敵な幸せな一日なんだよ。たとえ部活がお流れになっちゃって退屈な一日だったとしてもね。
レナは大人な考え方ができるんだな。
そんなことないよ。本当はまだまだはしゃぎ足りない。興奮がまだ冷めないだけなのかもね。
Rena laughed. That made me laugh too. Sadako thought that we were laughing because we said bad things about her, and she started bugging me about it. Once again, we made a lot of noise like we always do.
では僕とさとこはここでお別れなのです。リカ、もう少しご一緒してタバコ屋さんで曲がってもいいではありませんの？豆電球が切れたのを忘れましたですか？豆電球がないと寝るときに真っ暗になってしまいますですよ。それは困りますわね。あ、牧野さんの雑貨屋さんならここでお別れだね。これ以上行っちゃうとどんどん遠回りになっちゃうからね。
Makano-san's general store. Alright, that's where it is. They wanted to make a stop at the store before we going back to Shrine. Turning here would be the quickest way.
そっか。じゃあな、リカちゃんにサトコ。また明日な。
また明日なのです。それではですわ。ケイチさんにレナさん。じゃあね、二人とも。バイバイ。
Rika-chan and Sadako waved at us many times, then took the narrow path through the field. Once the noisy girls were gone, it went especially quiet all of a sudden. It even made me feel as if the sun had set in an instant. They could see my house by now, which everybody calls the Mayabara Mansion. Didn't notice it earlier because of how fired up we were, but my stomach was about to burst. Growling, my stomach felt like thunder. Body must have been paying the price for me acting like an idiot earlier. There's no way I was eating dinner that night. I needed to tell my mom before she started cooking. Well, before anything, I had to get to the bathroom. Ugh. My stomach was churning. Oh boy. Well, it didn't sound good. Got to the place where I'd always meet Rena in the morning and said goodbye in the evening.
今日はすっげえ楽しかったな。
すっごい楽しかった。あれ、ケイチくん具合悪いの？
すまん、お腹を壊したかもしれない。おとなしく休むことにするよ。
ケイチくんもまだまだお腹の鍛え方が足りないかな？
レナだって俺と同じくらい食べてるはずなんだぞ。一体その細っこい体のどこにあれが収まるってんだ？
それは女の子の秘密ってことで。
Rena giggled and tried to avoid giving me an answer. She probably hit me if I pressed her about it. She punched me in the stomach, I feel for sure. So I decided not to go any further.
じゃあな、レナ。また明日な。
また明日ね。
俺さ、前は都会に住んでたわけだけどさ、こんなにも一日一日を楽しいと思って過ごしたことはなかった。俺、ひなみ沢に引っ越してきてさ、きっと幸せなんだって思う。
レナも同じだよ。ほら、私も1年前にひなみ沢に引っ越してきたわけだけど、こんなに楽しい幸せな日々を送れるのが信じられないもの。
そっか。なら明日も絶対に楽しいな。
昨日も今日も楽しかったんだもん。きっと明日だって楽しいよ。
こんなにも毎日が楽しいとなんだかある日突然転びそうで怖いよな。
転ぶときはどんなに注意してても転ぶよ。だからいつ転んでもいいように思いっきり今を楽しむのが正解だと思うな。
そうだな、今を精一杯楽しむのが正解だな。
じゃあね、ケイチくん、おばさまとおじさまにもよろしくね。さて、レナはまだまだ遊び足りないから、また宝の山に宝探しに行こうかな。
まだ遊び足りないってのか？つくづくタフなやつだな。負けたぜ。
Gotta get Colonel Randy out of there.
どう？よかったらケイチくんも一緒に来ない？新しい山があってね、まだ全然発掘してないの。何かとっても可愛いのが見つかるかも。
悪いけど俺はパスするよ。それになんだか雲が重たくなってきたみたいだしな。レナも今日はおとなしく帰宅した方がいいんじゃないか？
こういう素敵な気分の日にはね、きっと可愛いのが見つかるんだよ。だからちょっとでも行ってみるね。
I felt sick enough that I didn't feel like going with her. If I felt better, I would have gone treasure hunting with her for sure. She didn't want to go home yet because she didn't want the fun day to end. That's exactly how I felt too.
わかったよ。じゃあな。可愛いのがあったらぜひ見せてくれよな。
じゃあね。バイバイ。
Oh, we've gone from her perspective. I want to comment on that last section. It felt so strangely nostalgic for me, you know? It's so weird of like it felt so nostalgic for me for something that, you know, I've never done before. I mean, I didn't have like I wasn't in the countryside of, you know, Japan, but I think that strange sense of nostalgia is you know, having each day be so fun with a group of people you're with, because I had that before, definitely, and those are fun days. This game is able to nail down that feeling of being with a group of friends and just having endless days of fun, even on days that nothing happens. Still fun. This game is able to nail that so expertly well. It's kind of scary, actually. It's so... God, it's just... Man, this I don't know how to describe it. It's just so nostalgic and warm feeling, you know? Like, this game is an expert in making you feel emotions, I feel like. Which, in my personal, like, philosophy of, like, making, like, stories is, like, the goal of every great story is to make you feel the exact emotions the writer wants you to feel. And this game is a perfect example of being... Each scene is able to make you feel a certain emotion. And in the greatest scenes... they're able to make you feel a variety of emotions. And you can't even describe it. I feel like that's what every great story should do, is to make you feel these emotions, bring up these memories that you have possibly forgotten about, and realize how those made you feel. And it's just... It's so good. It's so good. This game's so good, man. This game is so great. Oh, God. Also, I keep forgetting to mention in this, but this is my longest Let's Play yet. And the thing is about that, it doesn't feel like my longest Let's Play, just in terms of parts, and definitely terms of length. But not once have I felt burnt out on this game at all. Each chapter is able to expertly provide its own unique story while tying in to the overall narrative of the gigantic story there is, without making the viewer burnt out on it, which is an amazing task to do for such a long game. Like, this is a long game, but yet I still keep, it still is able to keep getting these emotions out of me, and I'm still able to resonate with the characters and care for them and make connections to, you know, stuff back in like chapter 1 or 2. It's honestly such an incredible feat that I that's still mind-boggling to me that someone could create, a team could create this. So just absolutely amazing, because like Higurashi is not like an underrated like piece of property. A lot of people know about Higurashi, but like I'm pretty sure the anime kind of tainted with that, because from like the screenshots I have seen from like the anime, it leans more into the horror aspect, even though Higurashi is a lot more than just the horror aspect alone. Horror aspect is great, by the way, in the visual novel, at least in my opinion, but it's so much more than that. It is so much more than that. And God, this game's great. I just keep gushing about it, man. It's just so great. It's so great. Kechi-kun waved over and over as if he didn't want to say goodbye yet. But after a while, he was gone. Well, I had to go too, because I was going to go treasure hunting. I love cute things. It's such a wonderful day today that I'm sure I'm going to get lucky at treasure hunting. Definitely will find some wonderful treasures. I pedaled my bicycle with determination. My house was nearby, but I took another street that led to the dam construction site. It might have been okay to go home just then, but I hesitated to go since I didn't want to be seen. I had so much fun today, and I wanted to continue feeling happy as long as I could. It was already getting late, but I felt like it was getting dark faster than usual. Just like Kechi-kun said, the clouds in the sky were growing darker. It might start raining hard.
でも別にだからって家に帰れるわけじゃないんだし。
Stop it, Rena. You had so much fun today. You have to stay happy as long as you can. I'm happy. Enjoy every day. Rena, say it. Say the magical words. Don't be embarrassed. You're not dumb or anything. I'd be able to enjoy every day even more if I were dumb. So dumb is what I want to be.
かいのあるかなお持ち帰り
There, I said it. Sure, I can find something cute. As long as I believe it's cute, anything can be that way. Should fill my heart with happy memories of the day and yesterday. Should look forward to the happiness I'm going to receive tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, too. Okay, interesting. So she doesn't want to go home yet. Why? I reached the damn construction site. A mountain of trash loomed over me. I parked my bicycle and walked down the mountain of trash and scrap. This place is my castle. It would be incredible if anyone else came to this mountain of trash. I've come here many times and I usually stay for a long while, but I've never seen anybody walk by. This place is the village's blind spot. I heard that many people come here all the time during the dam wars, but it was abandoned after that. The villagers no longer need to come here. Some people even forgot about it entirely. It seems like they dump trash here at midnight, but I've never seen a truck actually dump trash at least. They dump new trash more often, it'd give me more time to kill. But it looks like it's not going to happen for a while. I walked down the slope of the trash pile. all the way down to the bottom and headed behind another pile. Nobody ever comes here. I've come here many times and I usually stay for a long while, but nobody has ever come to mess up this place. And even the other kids from my school come here. They all believe that the arm of the manager of the construction site is buried somewhere in the trash piles. They also believe the whole place is haunted. They told me that a ghost with one arm still wanders around here looking for his missing limb. Sadly, I haven't seen the ghost either. I'm not scared. In fact, I'd rather like to meet him. I wouldn't mind helping him find his arm. If he's feeling lonely, I want him to be my conversation partner. There's a station wagon buried in the trash pile. It doesn't have tires, but other than that, it still looks like a station wagon. The station wagon is my secret hideout. Fortunately, the sliding door and rear doors are open, so whenever I want to get in, I have to enter the car from the passenger seat and crawl into the back from there. Of course, I take off my shoes at the passenger seat. When you look at it from the outside, it's just a dirty abandoned car. But on the inside, it's nice and clean because I had to sweep it out and decorate it a little. It took me a long time. The back seats are lined flat because I wanted to have as much space as possible. Put a mattress in a trash pile and put it into that space instead. It was a bit dirty, so I bought a bed sheet from home and covered the mattress with it. Put my favorite cushions on top, and with that it turned into a perfect bed. Put cushions and stuffed animals everywhere. It's not at all. Look at this. I have a bunch of sweets here too. A bag of fruit candy in 4 different colors and some cookies. If they're growing bad, I'll have to throw them away. My bear-shaped water bottle is empty. When I come here to spend some time on Sundays, I usually bring this water bottle with some sweetened tea in it. I have a box of tissues, a flashlight, extra batteries, and other daily necessities in here. I also have a few books to read in order to kill some time while I'm at it. And I have this. What do you think this is? Look, ta-da! My hideout is suddenly lit up thanks to the table lamp. There's an electric outlet on the side of an old nearby construction office. Thought they had cut the power years ago, but to my surprise I was wrong. Electricity is still being supplied to the outlet. When I found tons of extension cords, I came up with the idea to connect them all, make the electricity come all the way to my hideout. Now I can spend time here comfortably with some sweets, books, and lights. If I wanted to, I might be able to spend a night here. But I may catch a cold since it gets very cold at night. See, this is a very nice hideout, isn't it? First I thought somebody would find it and mess with it, but that hasn't happened so far. That's because nobody comes here. Everybody forgets about this place. That's how this place became my perfect secret hideout. Fortunately, I ate so much today that I'm still full. I can tell them that I was playing with my friend at her house and ate dinner there. I'm going to stay here for a while and relax. And I'm going to treat myself. I loved the water gun battle yesterday. My heart had been pounding when I fought one-on-one with Kichi-kun. I had also had great fun at Angel Moore today. I never experienced such a crazy game with so many people in my life. I was still feeling the after effects, and I'm sure I'd have a dream about it tonight. That was why I wanted to bask in these happy feelings. That was why I was going to treat myself in here. I should take off my shoes and stretch my toes. I should cherish the time when I can be myself. Once I took off my shoes, I felt so relaxed that I didn't want to put them on again. Played all day today and I was very tired. The treasure hunt could wait. As it got darker, the light of the table lamp became encouraging. It was really getting dark faster than usual. All of a sudden, I heard the sound of raindrops hitting the roof of the car. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. The interval between drops got shorter and shorter. When it became a continuous sound, I began to hear thunder. Even though it was raining heavily, it remained very quiet inside the car, making me feel like I was in a different world. It's my castle, after all. I felt a bit cold, so I unfolded my blanket and hid under it. I'm here alone, under the warm blanket that has my scent. Though nobody knew where I was at the moment, I felt like I was left alone in the heavy rain. I still felt secure and free from anxiety for some reason. I felt like this heavy rain was keeping my enemies away from my castle. I liked it that way. This place is full of small happiness. It's full of my favorite things. That's why I'm happy whenever I'm here. When I put another blanket over me, I felt as warm as if I were in bed. I listened to the soothing sounds of raindrops hitting the scrap iron of trash heaps. It made me feel sleepy. This is a castle of trash. This trash came here because nobody wanted it. This is where it lives. This is a country where unwanted refuse lives together. It felt like I fit in here. But at the same time, I knew it was just a temporary place for me, as there's somewhere I had to go back to. No, I shouldn't think about things like that. Whenever I realize that I don't belong here, I remember that I'm in the middle of a very dirty pile of trash. I should just doze for a little bit longer, thinking it's poisonous. I wanted to keep myself out of that poison so that the kind Rena within me could stay pure. A little bit longer. Just a little bit longer, and I closed my eyes. Jeez. So, something's happening at home. Oh? Okay. My mother was a very busy woman. The harder she worked, the more her work was valued, and she kept getting promoted. She sought to go higher and higher. She was always shining, and she was my hero. My mother started her career as a fashion designer at a small clothing factory in Okayama. My father was a designer too. They met through their jobs and soon got married. They lived in a small apartment in Okayama, but they moved to my grandma's house, our current house in Himizawa, when she got pregnant with me. We lived there until right before I went to elementary school. Now that I think about it, that was the happiest time of my life. I felt happy every day and believed without a doubt that tomorrow would be the same. I was so happy that I took it for granted and didn't even feel the happiness. I really did feel happy every day. I was small at that time and didn't really understand what was going on, but it seemed like the company my parents were working for was having financial difficulties. So my mother and a few other young designers started talking about leaving the company and going independent. After many things happened and the situation grew complicated, they got an offer to work at a big design firm in Ibaki, and they took the offer. At that time, I heard my mother saying many difficult words like limited partnership and business alliance, but in short, what she wanted to do was move to Ibaki. My mother and her peers were hired because their talent and experience made them immediate assets of their new company. However, my father wasn't one of them. Unfortunately, my father wasn't as talented as my mother was. So moving to Ibaki meant that my father had to give up being a fashion designer. My mother's new company had high expectations of her talent and promised her a responsible project. She didn't want to waste her growing talent and passion by living in a rural town like Himizawa. So my mother convinced my father to quit his job and move to Ibaki to support her and to help her build her career. Back then, moving meant that I had to say goodbye to my close friends. I didn't want to move, and I kept crying about it. After we moved to Ibaki, my mother was a big success. Not only did she have a great leadership skills, she was full of energy, and I believe she made the best use of her talents to succeed. She came home late every night and barely had any days off. When she had a big project, she often stayed the entire night at her office. But when she came home, she always looked fulfilled and wore a happy smile that she had never worn when she was in Himizawa. She was shining, and I remember I always wanted to shine like her when I grew up. On the other hand, my father wasn't doing so well. He couldn't find a job as a fashion designer, so he took a critical job at a small company, but he kept changing positions. He couldn't use the experience that he had cultivated, and it was very hard for him. But he was very understanding. He started to take care of things around the house for my mother, who got busier and busier, having one project after another. He cleaned the house, did the laundry, and came to my school events. However, he couldn't cook. He did cook rice, but always bought side dishes from a grocery store. We ate dinner without my mother more and more often. I guess she's busy again. Every time I said that, he always told me, your mother is working very hard. So let's support her, Rena. That was what he always told me. I decided to help my father with the cooking. I thought it was a good idea to learn how to cook since he wasn't good at it. Whenever my mother cooked, I helped her and tried to learn how to cook from her. She apologized for not having enough time to cook for us, but she was happy that I was learning. I think I wrote in my school yearbook that I wanted to be a clothing designer in the future, just like my mother. But apparently I lacked my mother's exceptional sense of style. She used to tell me taste is something that you're born with, not something that you cultivate. I remember I was discouraged to be a designer because of that. That's why I decided to reach her by getting better at things she wasn't so good at, instead of trying to be like her. I wanted to be good not only at cooking, but also doing things around the house, such as cleaning, doing the laundry, and grocery shopping. I remember my father was really happy that I did all that for him because he wasn't good at it at all. Couldn't find a job and spent a lot of time at home, so he seemed to enjoy spending time during the housework with his daughter more than anything. I started to become better and better at filling in for my mother, and she started to get too busy to do any of the housework at all. She moved on to a more responsible position at her job. She took me out to many places as if to compensate for leaving me alone all the time. She used to say, let's go eat something delicious without telling your father, and took me out to a restaurant. She took me to high-class restaurants and amusement parks. Sometimes it was only me and my mother. Sometimes it was with her friends from work. She took me to a beach barbecue one summer with those friends. I was introduced as their daughter, and every one of them pampered me. I still remember there was this one guy who particularly doted on me. He was a good-working young man, called him uncle once, and he got mad at me, who was nicely tanned with dyed brown hair. This young man often came with us when we went out. When my mother took me somewhere, she usually made several phone calls for her work during the day, and sometimes she took me out to a place where she could also do her work at the same time. So I didn't feel awkward when people from her work came with us. But I always preferred to be alone with her, so I was happier when we could do that. One day she took me to a very high-end part of town. Of course, she always spoiled me whenever we went out. She bought me things and let me eat whatever I wanted. But she especially spoiled me on that day. She took me to many expensive-looking bouquets and accessory stores. She was about to buy me something, but I told her not to get it because it didn't look good on me. Without hesitation, she bought it anyway. I remember there were many zeros on the price tag. On that day, I realized my mother's design work had made her a very successful woman. She was earning a lot of money. We took a break at a ridiculously expensive-looking restaurant that probably charged 1,000 yen for a glass of orange juice. My mother clapped her hands and spoke to me with a smile on her face. She asked, Rena, would you like to make your dream come true? When I was in kindergarten, my teacher gave students a topic to draw a picture of. The topic was my dream, and I drew myself eating a mountain of fruit parfait all by myself. What my mother meant to say was that she was going to make that dream come true for me. It was a normal day. It wasn't my birthday or anything. But since my mother always spoiled me when we went out together, I didn't feel awkward about it at all, and I accepted her offer with a happy smile. There were 5 or 6 of fruit parfaits in front of me. I remember it looked exactly like the world I drew, and I felt like I was floating in that dream world. It was too much for us to finish, but we dug our spoons into it as if we were playing the mud. We really enjoyed eating it together. It was my first time to experience getting full by eating only fruit parfaits, and I remember I was very happy. I enjoyed tasting the happiness and chatting with my mother.
レイナちゃん、この間映画とお食事に行った時、一緒だった人のことを覚えてる？
秋人おじさんだっけ？はあ、 お兄さんって呼ばないとぶたれる。
レイナちゃんは秋人さんのこと好き？
Ooh, I have a feeling about something.
嫌い。いつもレイナのことからかうもん。
それは大好きだからちょっかいを出してるのよ。バーベキューの時はとっても仲良くしてたじゃない。
たまには仲良しかな。かな。
My mother laughed. I didn't know why she brought up the subject, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I was too young. Now that I think about it, she was breaking the news. I just didn't notice it.
ねえ、レイナちゃんはお母さんとお父さんとどっちが好き？
Ooh, yeah, I had a feeling.
お母さん。
It wasn't that I hated my father or anything, but I thought giving her that answer was appropriate after she spoiled me so much.
もしもお母さんとお父さんが別々のお家に住むことになったら、レイナはどっちのお家に住みたい？お母さんね、お父さんと別れて秋人おじさんと結婚しようと思うの。
At that time, my mother was a very successful woman. I didn't know this at the time, but she was drafted by a headhunter to work at a bigger company where she was promoted to a higher and more responsible position, one where she could bring out the most of her talent. Of course, the position wasn't the only thing she gained. Compared to my father's role salary, my mother was earning enough money to support a family free and still have some left over. I'd kind of realized it from the way she spent money. The greater position she achieved, the more she spent time with people at her level. All of them were bright and talented. Compared to them, my father might have looked unattractive to her. I liked Uncle Akito, but I liked him as one of my mother's friends, not in the same way I liked my father. I liked my father and mother equally, so it was very shocking to me that my mother wanted to divorce him. I felt as if the ground below me was beginning to crack. That expression, I realized, actually fit my situation very well. I had to choose which side of the cracked ground I wanted to stand on. My mother told me to live with her at her new house. Her new house meant the house Uncle Akito lived in. I thought a house was a sanctuary for a family. I believed that a house was a holy place where strangers couldn't easily enter. That was why I couldn't believe her. How could she let a stranger invade such a holy place so easily? But I hated my father. My mother looked down and didn't answer. I asked her another question. Why can't you stay with my father? I think that was the hardest and the most heartbreaking of all questions for my mother to answer. Sure, my mother had cheated on him. She loved another man who was more attractive than my father, and it was just that, and nothing more. I knew more than anybody that it wasn't my father's fault. First of all, he decided to move from Nimizawa to support my mother as much as he could. For him, nothing good had come from that. Actually, I think he had a very rough time since we moved to Ibaraki. But he volunteered to be her support and tried very hard to do that. I thought my mother appreciated his support. So, took her decision as a betrayal. I told her that I disagreed with everything, including their divorce. I said it very loudly and made everybody in the store jump. Sure, continue a relationship with Uncle Akito, but don't divorce my father. I feel bad for him. I feel terrible for him. He has been doing nothing but support you patiently this whole time. How could you do such a cool thing to him? I screamed as loud as I could. Then my mother answered. It's too late. Why? You haven't talked with my father about this, have you? It's not too late.
お母さんね、妊娠してるの。
What? I don't know whether my mother actually told him about the divorce in person. A middle-aged woman who called herself a warrior came to the house several times to talk to my father on my mother's behalf. She sometimes called him too. My father begged the warrior to let him speak directly to my mother many times, but it never happened. I could tell by the way they talked that he had no clue when my mother told him she wanted a divorce. Well, again, I'm not even sure if she told him in person. The warrior told him not to meet my mother, not to call her at work, and many other things too. To top it all off, she told him not to see my mother ever again. He wanted to talk to her. He called some of their mutual friends, but he only found out the name of the guy she was having an affair with and nothing more. He asked me, "Do you know the guy?" I told him, I do. I also told him that he was a funny guy and had given me candy many times. I'll never forget how he looked when I told him that. He hit me for the first time. He hit me so hard that his hand point stayed on my cheek for a while. Then he fell on the floor and cried loudly. And then I started to cry too. I didn't cry because he hit me. Uncle Akito was kind to me, so I liked him, talked to him out of courtesy. No, that wasn't it. Girls had to be kind to everybody. That's what I thought. But I was wrong. I learned in this world that there are people you should be nice to and enemies you shouldn't be nice to. The enemies are the ones who would destroy my life with their very existence. Whether they mean to harm me or not doesn't matter. They're like weeds growing in the flower bed. Dandelions are innocent, but they take all the nutrition for the tulips from the soil. That's why we have to pull them out. The dandelions did nothing wrong, but they're the enemy. Enemies are bad people. That guy was a bad person. I shouldn't have accepted him. I should have rejected him with everything I had. By doing so, I might have been able to disrupt their relationship. By doing so, I might have been able to make my mother feel like their relationship was not going to work. If I tried to do so, my parents wouldn't have to break up. My father and I cried together, but we cried for different reasons. He must have cried because it happened so fast and didn't make any sense to him. I cried because I regretted that I had let it happen when I had the chance to prevent it. My father stroked my cheek and opened his mouth to apologize, but he couldn't speak and just cried with me. One day the lawyer let me see my mother. My mother asked me to live with her at her house again. I didn't know what to say, so I just kept looking down and listened to her apologies. My father knew that I was going to see my mother on that day, so he handed me a letter and told me to give it to her. I don't know what he wrote in that letter, but for some reason I was able to imagine what kind of things he wrote when I felt it through the envelope. After all, the letter inside the envelope had a rough surface. He must have been crying while writing the letter, and his tears made the letter all wrinkled when it dried. My mother took the letter from me, told me that she read it later, and was about to put it in her bag. I stopped her and told her to read it there. I wanted to see how she was going to take the last words that my father had left her. But my mother didn't read it. She told me she wanted to read it alone later. She put it in her bag. At that time, I realized, no, it was more than that. I should say, I knew, because it was so obvious. I knew that my mother was lying. She had no intention of reading my father's letter. She was going to throw it away after I was gone, but she lied just because she wanted to seem like a nice person in front of me. The slight curl in her eyebrows and lips told me that more clearly than anything else. At that moment, I finally knew something else. The guy she was having an affair with wasn't the only bad person. My mother was also a bad person. Since that moment, the existence of my mother disappeared from my world like dry ice evaporating. I didn't have to hesitate about whom to live with anymore.
あなたの家には行きません。私の家は竜宮の家です。もうあなたとも会いたくありません。 二度と呼ばないでください。
でもねレイナ、お父さんの方に残ったらこれからの生活。
At that moment, I hated my name for the first time in my life.
私のこと気安くレイナって呼ばないでください。失礼します。さようなら。
Those were my last words to my mother. No, to the woman who used to be my mother. After that, I spent many days without feeling anything. I didn't know if the days were long or short. I didn't know which season I was living in. It was supposed to be nothing out of the ordinary, not having my mother around. But every time my father saw things, I reminded him of her, like her toothbrush, her teacup, or her favorite books. He shed tears, which left me frustrated. That's why I decided to completely move her belongings from the house. I roughly threw her things into a black trash bag, started to do so frantically. By the time I knocked down her wardrobe, threw her music box hard on the floor, and broke her mirror, my mind was already not working properly. When I try to remember what happened after that, I feel disoriented. That's because the pills the doctor gave me back then made me feel disoriented and lethargic every time I took them. It seems that dullness hit me especially hard, since every time I try to remember that time, it makes me feel disoriented and lethargic, just like the pills made me feel. I destroyed everything that smelled my mother, but the thing I wanted to destroy the most might have been myself. Even after I threw all of her belongings away, I still couldn't stop feeling regret. I decided to blame myself in the end. Maybe I was thinking that I wanted to do damage to her reputation and successful life by destroying her daughter, destroying myself. When I was about to reach that very last resolution, Oshiro-sama came to me. Okay. Oshiro-sama told me to go back to Himizawa. Yes, all this was because of his curse. Oshiro-sama brought a curse upon the Ryu family because we broke his rule and abandoned Himizawa. After I figured that out, everything started to make sense to me. All the crazy things that happened after my mother was gone. The curse of Oshiro-sama did all that to us. It was Oshiro-sama's voice that was telling us to come back to Himizawa. That's right. We should have stayed in Himizawa. Everything went crazy because we moved. We had to go back to Himizawa. I stood feeling disoriented again, and a dull pain ran through my head. It might be a scream from within me telling me not to push myself too hard to remember any further. The house where we used to live in Himizawa was still here. My grandma already passed away, and the house was the only property she left for us. I remembered that I used to live in Himizawa, but all I remembered was that it was a village that I used to live in till right before I went to elementary school. I remembered the atmosphere of the village too, but that was all I remembered. I forgot the streets and even the names of close friends I used to play with. The neighbors knew that the son of the deceased woman had come back divorced, but they didn't know us and we didn't know them. So it was almost like we moved to a new place. However, as far as I was concerned, it was still my hometown that I had to come back to. At first, everything was inconvenient compared to life in Abaki. It was hard for both of us to adjust. But we renovated the old house. It was only me and my father. Life here seemed to make my father forget his pain from the divorce. Mi-chan was very kind to me, and I started to get used to my new life too. I did everything around the house, and we gradually went back to a time when we used to live happily. Anybody can live a happy life. People sometimes say that some people are born to be unhappy, but I believe that's just an excuse for people who don't even want to try. Don't give in to fate. I'll never give up trying to recapture the happy times that I've lost. I'm going to become happy to the point where I don't even feel the happiness anymore. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'll never cry again. I used up all my tears on that night my father hit me. The curse of Oshiro-sama is over because we came back to Himizawa. So I'm going to have a happy life from now on. All of a sudden, big raindrops hit the roof of the car and I recovered my senses. It was still raining hard. It had already gone dark outside. The shadows the table lamp created were very dark and looked as if there was nothing else around me. If I turned off this light, would everything in this world disappear? I turned off the light. Darkness swallowed me, but the cold air and the sound of rain didn't change a bit. That made me realize I was still in this world. The curse of Osho-sama. Did the curse of Osho-sama do those crazy things to my family? Or did I convince myself it did it as an excuse for myself because I didn't want to feel guilty about the divorce? Sometimes I'm not sure. Since that time, Osho-sama hasn't come to me. I sometimes feel like it was a delusion I created because I was mentally ill. But he did come at that time. I'm sure about that. Am I right, Osho-sama? I was unhappy after I left Himizawa, but I came back and I'm happy now. But where am I supposed to go now that I'm unhappy in Himizawa? Where?
ダメだ、レナ。不幸になったとか考えちゃいけない。私は幸せなんだ。幸せになるんだ。だから絶対に幸せになれるんだ。
So in a way I felt that as this darkness swallowed me, I'll never be able to be happy again. I found a switch of the table lamp and turned it back on. When I looked at the clock, it was already past 11 p.m. I had to go home. I wouldn't have time to prepare my lunch for tomorrow. At least I'd have to set a timer on the rice cooker. It didn't look like the rain was going to stop anytime soon. I looked out of the window to see the rain, but could only see my reflection. I talked to that reflection in the window. I'm so glad that my father's happy. He'd been acting like he was dead for a long time. The smile on his face is a good sign that he's regaining his former happy wife. He became miserable because of me. That's why I don't mind doing things for him until he gains a smile and we become truly happy. When I stay here alone for a while, it gives him some time to be alone with her. Plus, I don't have time. I don't have to fake a smile. So probably another woman he went up with. But then, my reflection in the window tells me, Rena, you're such a good girl. You're kind to everybody and love them equally. You can make anybody like you. But did you forget something? In this world, there are people you should be kind to. And enemies that you have to reject with all you got. I thought you learned that lesson. No, don't listen to her. My reflection is always mean. She always says mean things and makes fun of my worries. But she always tells me things that I can't say myself. Let's go home, Rena. To your home. Forget about that mean Rena in the moon. I was a bit hungry by then. After all the desserts I ate, I still got hungry. I almost forgot. Rena-san bought me a shortcake. I never had a shortcake from Angel Mort, but I bet it'll taste good. I have to give my thanks to Rena-san the next time I see her. Rena-san speaks in a way that makes it very clear how she grew up, but I'm sure she's a good person. That's because she's so good to my father. Bingo. I did everything I could to make my father smile, but I failed. On the other hand, Rena-san can put a big smile on his face so easily. I have to thank Rena-san. I have to thank her for cheering up my father. But I don't know why. I just don't like her perfume. Bingo. Okay. So that was the business card at the beginning, which... Gentleman's Club. Okay. Alright. Wow. Wow. Just wow. Okay. We learned quite a bit. We learned a lot, actually. Why she doesn't want to be called by Rena because her parents divorced. And that's... I'm gonna guess that's why Osho-sama, came to her. you know, hell, maybe she knows it deep down. She knows it deep down as like maybe he did come to me, but perhaps it's just an excuse for the divorce. Wow. Wow, that answered quite a bit actually. She's always been mentally ill, but I bet after the divorce her episodes got worse. And it's very interesting. And you know what? Let's continue on. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's go on to the next chapter. Check out these tips first. Summer vacation picture diary. Today I went to a swimming pool with my mom. Uncle Akito came with us too. I don't like him because he's sometimes mean to me, but he's a very kind and funny old man. He told me to call him Daddy for that day because he was going to play with me at the pool like he was my daddy. My mom called him Daddy, so I did too. Uncle Akito looked very happy and gave me a lot of money. My mom looked very happy and made me happy too. I want to play with him again. I hope my dad can come with us next time. Premonition of rainy days. I opened the window, placed my cushion nearby, and prepared to enjoy the weather. But she came over and disrupted my peaceful evening. She always ruins my time of solitude.
幸せそうね。そっか。今日はあんたの大好きな甘いものがたくさん食べられたものね。
This girl loves sweets more than anything. I like them too, but I can't eat like she does. Give me heartburn if I ate the amount she ate today. She seemed to be very happy, so I'll leave her alone for a while. I've been making my favorite hot and salty food for the past few days, so she must be quite pleased today. It was a very fun date for me too. I just want to enjoy the memory of the excitement I felt today by sitting here quietly, enjoying the sunset. But when I looked up to the sky, I saw some thick clouds forming there. The wind was a bit cooler than usual. It might start raining soon.
大地震や大津波などの知らせとして浅瀬に普段は絶対に見かけることができない深海の魚が現れることがあるっていう話があるらしいわね。
We saw a very rare fish that dwells in deep water in the shallows today. Just as the ancient stories of sea monsters say, people hate deep-sea animals and tend to interpret them as omens of a disaster. It didn't matter if they showed up alive or dead. I said something interesting just now. Even if they showed up alive or dead, it was an omen of disaster. Now, might start raining soon.
うるさいな。言われなくても分かってる。洗濯物を取り入れるわよ。
I grabbed a basket and went outside to take the laundry in. The clouds were getting darker. I normally like rain, but I didn't think I'd enjoy it today. Huh. That's an interesting one. Enrico's talking in her more subdued voice, too. Interesting. I don't know what to make of that, but I really don't know what to make of that. Why was she talking in her, more low voice? Alright, let's continue on, shall we?
Oh, 来た来た。
You know what? Before we continue on, how about I go ahead and save just in case? Okay, did I save? Let me check. Let me check just in case. Okay, cool.
おはようレナ。
今日はケイチ君の方が早かったね。
普段を棚にあげるわけじゃないが、俺が朝の待ち合わせでレナに勝つなんて珍しいこともあるもんだぜ。
レナ、今朝はちょっとお寝坊した。ゆうべ寝つかれなくってね。
レナもか？実は俺もなんだよ。昨日の大騒ぎの余韻がずーっと残っててさ、布団に入っててもなかなか眠くならなくて夜が長く感じたぜ。
Yesterday, I had a lot of fun with my friends and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. Kept talking with my parents about getting the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped up that I couldn't go to sleep. Kind of sounds like I'm a little kid. But given that Rena seems to be the same way, I felt better about it. No, I felt better isn't a light way of phrasing it. I should say I'm glad to know that we shared the same feeling. Rena went treasure hunting after I left. I'm sure she found many adorable things, went home, talked with her parents about how great the day was.
あ、みーちゃんだ。おはよ
おお、ミオンが先に待ってるなんて、今日は雪が降るかもな。
人が珍しく先に待ってりゃそういうこと言うわけ？
それを言ったら私より先に待ってたケイチくんも珍しいよ。雪が降るかもね。
人のこと言えないね。
It's going to be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday. So I'm going to have fun today for sure. I'm happy and Mion is happy too. Of course, one of my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it. And I wish these happy days would last forever.
なあミオン、今日は何をして遊ぼうな。
今日の部活？何がいいだろうね。レナは提案ある？
そうだね。昨日おとといと体を使うゲームが続いたから、今日はあまり体に激しくないゲームがいいな。
そうだな。レナの言うのも一理あるぜ。部活は肉体勝負だけが全てじゃねえだろ。
もちろん心技体全ての要素において完璧であってこそ部活メンバーだからね。じゃあ今日は何かテーブルゲームで遊ぶことにしよう。
Everybody was early this morning. We could enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. Told me that the festival was called Higurashi and that it was the biggest event of the year in Hinazawa. Pretty sure nothing was going to happen there.
そうだそうだ、昨日沖宮の家に親類が集まっていろいろと話が出たんだけどさ、ケイちゃんの話題が出たんだよ。
俺？園崎家の重鎮が集まって一体何の相談だよ。
いやさ、昨日のエンジェルモートでのケイちゃんの活躍を見てた店長の吉郎おじさんがさ、ケイちゃんのことを相当気に入っちゃったみたいでさ、それでいろいろと話を聞いてみたら、他の親類も意外にケイちゃんのことを知ってる人が多いんだよね。
It's nice. Tad creepy, but still nice.
南沢の名物男みたいな言われようだったよ。
名物男ってのはまた微妙な称号だな。その称号の9割方はミオンの罰ゲームに関係があるような気がするぞ。
それだけじゃないけどさ、ノリもいいし元気があって無鉄砲なところも今時の若い子にしては感心感心とみんなベタ褒めだったよ。
I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking well of me.
でね、今後の綿流しのお祭りで何かで活躍してくれないかなって話が出てね。ケイちゃん目立つこととか好きでしょ？
おいおいおいおい、本人不在で勝手に話を進めるな。俺は孤独と静寂を愛するロンリーガイだぜ。
誰がロンリーガイだ？ローンボーイの間違いでしょ？
はあ、 圭一くん、お金に困ってるなら協力するよ。は
うおー、そこまで財布事情に困ってねえし、レナも真に受けてそんな目で見るな。
we're still feeling the after effects of yesterday. Mio and I made a lot of noise teasing each other on the way to school. When I watched this and laughed happily. Sadako and Wika-chan were already there when we arrived at school. They were also full of energy. Tomonaga-kun and Okuma-kun were too. From that I could tell they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody's been having a good time, really. And Azawa, everybody's happy.
まだ引っ越してきて1年も経ったわけじゃないけどさ。
どうしたの突然。
いやさ、ひなみ沢に引っ越してきて俺幸せになったなって。
どうしたのケイちゃん、急に臭いこと言い出して。
レナにはわかるよ。ひなみ沢に引っ越してきて全てが幸せになった気持ちよくわかる。この村にはね、きっと人を幸せにする魔法がかかってるんだと思うから。
God. Jeez. When I think in April it will be a full year since I started this Let's Play. And it's been a year, not exactly a year for Akechi as well. Moved him as well. That's such a weird. There are benefits to making a Let's Play. There's downsides. Obviously, I can't remember every single detail, from little months ago. But at the same time, it feels like I'm able to digest the story more, able to process it, more than the average person that maybe will rush through it, or maybe take their time. It depends on the person, right? Because in a weird way as well, it's just since I quote unquote moved into Hinazawa, aka started Let's Playing this game. It's the most popular game on my channel, and God, it's so weird, and both in story and just meta sense. It's such a I can't exactly describe it, but every part being happy days, being so full of just enjoyment for the story, everything going so well. God, it's so weird and just doing this game quite literally over a fucking year, to have the same feeling as Catchy, for example. God, that's such a weird thing of experiencing this game over multiple months and stuff, and actually feeling that sense of time pass by. Such a weird feeling. And every day, aka every part, just being so full of happiness. I'm enjoying it so much. You guys are enjoying it so much. It's so weird. It's so weird, but I like it. I like how just weird this experience of a Let's Play is. It's such a unique union of story and Let's Play. I don't know how to describe it. It's so weird. It's so weird, but I love it. I probably make no fucking sense, by the way. People are probably skipping over this part of me ranting about this weird thing, but I feel the same way as Catchy, of being in this damn village for nearly a fucking year. So weird. Ugh, God, this damn game, man. This damn fucking game.
レナは幸せか？
レナは ひなみ沢に引っ越してきてからが毎日幸せだよ。
そうだな。そいつは俺もだ。
ちょっと、なんかおじさんだけのけ者っぽくない？ブーブー。
The sky was clear and the few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me that summer would be coming earlier than usual. One of Gagashi's just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have a great fun at the festival too. There will be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer's just around the corner. The last class of the day was finally over, meaning that it was time for co-op activities. I was sure it would be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Mi-chan received a call and told us something had come up and she had to go, so we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I could do, but I could at least chat with Kechi-kun on the way home. It'll be fun. Kechi-kun sometimes says mean things, but he's very funny. When I chat with him, my depression goes away. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day, and I'm as happy as I can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because of Rena-san, my father's happy now. Before he met her, he was like a lump in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Rena-san, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed talking with her and started going out with her. I could probably say they went on dates. Now he looks 10, now 20 years younger. Rena-san gets along with my father very well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her. But the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my many regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. But is it okay to accept that woman? Rena-san might be the same as how Uncle Kido turned out to be. Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Rena-san comes to my house a little too obviously. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. The futon on our guest room is hers now. In the bathroom there's a toothbrush, shampoo I never choose to buy. I started to feel awkward about those things. That's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Rena-san. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused. He told me not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. That's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said not yet. He considered it, but not while I was still living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Rena-san. I feel offended at my sanctum, my family's being invaded. I might be selfish though. I knew keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable like he was before he met Rena-san. He has a life to live too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce and to live, to find his new love. He wouldn't have to go through that painful life if I prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. He has a right to a happy new life that lets him forget the pain he never deserved. I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pray for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Then what should I do to make both of us happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I needed to do was to give my silent approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried until while we live together. That means I should stop leaning on my family, be strong and live on my own as soon as I can. Although, that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Minasan comes to our house and to see him despite her busy schedule. She even stays the night whenever her shifts permit. They're adults. They have no right to say anything against that. That's right. That's why I chose to give my silent approval to their relationship. Try to see her as little as I could. I get along with Rena-san on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't. But it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Rena-san comes over, I spend as much time as possible outside, then head home late. Michan's club activities are the most convenient things to do to kill time. But there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days I while away my time at the garbage dump, hunting for treasure alone. And that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Rena-san at home. I don't have to see them together. I can spend my time peacefully at my hideout. I sometimes feel depressed by my wife. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it, but nothing will change even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me should be to overcome the sadness of losing my family as fast as I could to regain my own happiness. I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Ketchikun was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad because I still can't separate from my father. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Rena-san's invasion was a very slow process. I think Rena-san understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, but she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika-chan because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, my problem's like nothing. I respect Sadako-chan's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Rena-san is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature. Because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong like Rika-chan and Sadako-chan. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm gonna live with all my might in order to regain the peace of mind that I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spent with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly.
それでね、あんまりにも可愛いから、レナ、ハウお持ち帰りって。
やれやれ。レナは毎日を楽しく過ごすことに関しては達人だな。レ
ナは毎日が楽しいよ。こんなにも素敵な友人たちに囲まれて過ごす、こんなにも素晴らしい日々があって、どうして不幸が感じられる？
だな。不幸なんかここにはないよ。いつまでも楽しくて不幸なことなんかとは一切無縁。それがひなみ沢ってとこなんだからよ。
He should have stopped right there. But he just kept going.
レナが羨ましいよな。その悩み知らずな能天気さが羨ましいぜ。
はう、バカにされてるっぽい気がする。でも毎日が楽しいなら私は能天気でもいいかな。かな。
I don't have any worries. Feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and still want my father's attention. Come on, say the magical words. It'll cheer you up.
Huh?
It didn't make sense to say it now, but I was going to say it anyway because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up.
はう、お持ち帰 かえり。
なんだよ突然。でもそれでこそレナだぜ。
That's right. This is me, Rena. I'm not Rena. Rena still wants her parents' attention. Rena is a goofy and carefree girl. She knows that every day is full of happiness, and she has the kind heart to appreciate it too. And she could forget about icky things. She should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with I, and that's why I got rid of the I in Rena. I'm Rena. I'm Rena. I want to recapture the happiness I lost when I left Himizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy, because I got rid of icky things. I'm sure there are only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with I too. I was almost home. When my house appeared, I noticed something different there. There was a truck parked in front of my house. There was nothing on the back of it, but I could tell it brought something here, because I saw some cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. From the front of the house I heard voices of two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked towards the front door. They were wearing some kind of work uniforms. They looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he noticed me.
ただいま。何かあったの？
おかえり、レーナ。見てごらん、すごいぞ。
My father looked to be in a good mood. Didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish, no matter how hard I tried to smile at him. But these days he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He has been literally coming back to life since a year ago when we moved back to Himizawa. No, since he started dating Rena-san. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy, but at the same time I feel confused because I don't know whether I should thank Rena-san or not.
ほら、すごいだろう。
He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go oh, and ah. So whenever there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go ooh and ah for him.
何これ？どうしたのお父さん？
I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment I thought I was in someone else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture he had was all basically from the former house in Nabaki. Parents bought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little. But all of that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned a pastel color, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical. The new curtains matched with the carpet. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. Channel switcher of our old TV was broken, and we used to use pliers to change channels, but it was gone too, replaced by a new one with a big screen. The room's lights had also been repaired by nicer looking ones. The room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights.
すごいねお父さん。これはどうしたの？
心機一転さ。もう引っ越してきて1年にもなるんだから、お父さんもそろそろ気分を切り替えて、新しい生活に踏み出さないとなって思ったんだよ。
I suggested redecorating the house once in order to cheer him up because he was still in pain after the divorce. But he wasn't interested at the time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he had chosen with my mother, because he still couldn't get over her even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought he'd do it on his own initiative.
そうだね。こんな綺麗なお部屋だと心も晴れ晴れするもんね。 敵なお部屋だと思うよ。
いいだろう。ほらレーナ、お前ユリースに憧れてたろ。まだ組み立ててないけど、ほらちゃんとあるんだぞ。
はうお父さんすごいすごいすごい。これ私がもらってもいいのかな。
こらこら、それはみんなの共用のものだから、レーナだけってわけじゃないんだぞ。
共用でもレナが占領しちゃうからダメ。
My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. Told me that he only did a living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all of the rooms. Sure, I'd become more active. There are some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great, because it made him happy. I found the old furniture outside in the yard.
あれは捨てちゃうの？
まあこの際だと思ってな。後で業者が引き取りに来てくれることになってる。
Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother, and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of them, but for some reason this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here. My father didn't choose the new furniture. Rena-san probably did. Most likely my father and Rena-san decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I tried to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply. So I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Rena. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He just doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realized the reason right away. That reason was me. To him, wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that remind him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking that I'm the reason he can't get remarried. But he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. It was my fault that he had to get a divorce. That's why I have to support him, to help recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep him all to myself. I'd have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should think about getting a job. But who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working at a hostess club, like Rena-san does. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money that I need to live on my own. But, come to think of it, where's the place where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in trash piles. I love to get under my blanket and feel the warmth on a cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a comfortable place to spend time in. But it might be the place where I can relax the most, more than I can at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has become invaded by Rena-san. Rena, I should thank her for making my father happy. Rena-san isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me. And I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Satoshi-kun and his aunt didn't get along at all. And she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation is a lot easier. Sadako-chan and Rika-chan lost their parents and they live together now. They've been through very hard times. On the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of those things. I am happy. I am blessed. Trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded at him with a big smile and let him keep at it.
そうだ、いけない。レイナ、すまないんだが、ちょっとお使いを頼めないか？
お使い？うん、いいよ。
お父さんな、ジャケットを2着ほど洋服屋さんに取り寄せさせてるんだ。それがな、今日届くらしいんだ。ちょっとお父さんは回収業者さんを手伝わなきゃならないから、レーナが代わりに取ってきてくれないか？
いいよ。お店を教えて。どんなジャケットを取り寄せたんだろう。楽しみ。
No matter what they look like, I'm sure Rena-san picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going. I'd rather go to his store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. I got the receipt, asked him where the store is, and changed my clothes and left the house. I started pedaling my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be the object of my hatred, but for some reason they now made me feel sentimental. Is it because I still regret the loss of my mother, even though I hate her? I couldn't let poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understood that in my mind, but I just couldn't get rid of that feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. Just like an animal that loves its scent on its home in order to feel secure. I collected all the junk in order to make sure that I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners, and they needed a place to live. Wow. Wow. God, man. Holy shit. Wow. God. Okay, let's go ahead and do a quick save, because I think this is where I'm going to end it. I don't usually like to end it in the middle of chapters, but almost at. Don't want to go to 2 hours in this episode, but wow. Wow, we have learned much about Rena. We have learned a lot. And divorce is a hard situation. It truly is. Divorce is a difficult topic. You know. And goddamn, it does it break my heart that she blames herself for it. It's not your fault. It's just adults being adults. Huh? Just, and it's so the reason why she's unhappy is because she feels like her family is being torn apart even after the divorce. And once again, like she said before, the house is supposed to be a sanctuary, not for strangers to intrude upon. And I think it's very human to feel like you don't want strangers to be in your own house, for everything around you in your home to change and make it feel like a different place other than home. It's a very human thing to think of. Even though she hates her mother, she still feels sentimental about that furniture, because It was during the time when they were still together. Time where it was happy. God, this chapter's good. Oh my god. It's the way and also it very much showcases Rena's probably, you could call it flaw, but like one of her biggest things is she sacrifices her own happiness for the happiness of others. And you know, it's now why is everyone around me so happy yet I'm unhappy? I'm so selfish for feeling these things, but I don't think it's just a very human emotion to feel, you know, of someone, you know, intruding, even though they don't have bad intentions, even though her father is becoming more happy of it. It still hurts. It still makes you feel like if everything's changing, why shouldn't I change? Why should I be, you know, when I was thinking, why should I be a burden on my father? To be reminded of mother. It's so... This game does a great job in tackling difficult subjects and how it showcases the sides of it. Like in this situation, the divorce happened because when his mother cheated on her father, got divorced, and you know, that's, you know, that happens, you know. And now we have this very complicated situation of Rena wants to be happy, but she's not feeling happy because she feels like she's not a part of her own home. That's why she stays in the hideout, because it feels like a place she has where she belongs in, which, and deep in her mind, which is a piece of trash, something to be forgotten about, something to be left behind, something that is thrown out in order for change to come in. And Rena doesn't want change. She wants these happy days to keep going. She doesn't, even though it's making her father happy, she doesn't want this Rena to interfere, change everything around her. We all experience change in our lives. Many, 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 many times in our lifetimes. It can be both good and bad. To a lot of people, change is a scary thought. To a lot of people, change is a good thing. But really, it's a mix of both. Change can be good. Change can be bad. Change can just happen. And it happens, and there's nothing we can do about it. God, this game's so good. This game's so good. And I think, on that very long note, this is where I'm going to end things. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something, put it down in the comments below. Want to check out the Discord server I own in, or my Twitter, check the description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!